Hello, this is Alan welcoming you to the 2161st edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper. Dateline 27th of September 2018. The readers this week are myself and Dem is also on the controls, a man of many parts. The editor was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Keith, Joan, Jeanne and Rena. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Pree, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from the Enfield Independent and the EN magazine, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The lead story this week is We Must Stem the Decline. Before the news, we have one or two special items and notices. First, the sunrise and sunset times for the week beginning 1st of October 2018 are sunrise at 0700 hours and sunset at 1838. We also have some special notices from Enfield Vision. Firstly, a reminder that the Focus Day will take place on Saturday the 6th of October. There will be various groups in attendance, including Cobalt Systems, Humanware, and Computer Room Services. These groups will be demonstrating some of the latest equipment available to visually impaired people. All are welcome, and they can join us from, you can join us at Community House at 311 4th Street, Edmonton, N9 OPZ, from 10:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. Refreshments will be served at lunchtime. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020-8805-6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now, here is the first item of local news. We must stem the decline. The council needs to take urgent action to stem the decline of Enfield Town, according to the Conservative group. The Tories blame the Labour-run council's policies for contributing to a rise in the number of empty shops and called for them to scrap hikes in parking charges and consider reforming business rates. But members of the Labour group claimed the central government's austerity measures were responsible for the downturn and said they were already taking action. Conservative leader, Councillor Joan raised the issue in opposition priority business at the full council meeting on Thursday. She said measures designed to attract businesses in the borough had not had the desired effect, as many retailers had simply moved around the town when new shopping centres opened. Councillor Leban said, the Conservative group know that free parking is out of the question, but if recent price increases could be reversed, it would help Enfield Town. The problem is our front door, and we have to act. According to the Conservative group, there are more than 20 vacant units in Enfield Town. They have proposed 8 measures to reverse the trend for shop closures, including rate relief for new retailers, more events aimed at boosting footfall, and a crackdown on landlords who allow their premises to become untidy. Council leader, Councillor Nazil Kaliskan, said, the opposition leader pretends to stand up for Enfield Town. This administration stands up for the whole of the borough. Councillor Kaliskan said council officers had already met with business leaders and traders to find out their aspirations and concerns. Councillor Claire Stewart, Labour member for Southgate Green, said the Tory government's response to the financial crisis had squeezed consumer spending, and that had hit retailers. She pointed out that Enfield Town was in a much healthier state than many town centres in other parts of the country. Councillor Stewart added, "Wealth has been stashed by the richest 1%, and you won't find them having a pint in Enfield." Councillor Kaliskan said, "We will respond to the recommendations in a positive way. We have already outlined that we will. This administration will go further and do more. Enfield is full of potential, and we will seek to invest in our local communities." The report's recommendations were not put to a vote. A bag containing a diamond ring is stolen. Police want to speak to these two men shown in a photograph here who look young, one of whom has a beard, in connection with the theft of a bag containing a diamond ring and a luxury watch. The bag was taken from McDonald's in Chaseside, Southgate at around 10:45 p.m. on July the 31st. The contents of the bag were valued at £12,000. Police have now released CCTV images of two men and two of the stolen items. PC Tom Barker said, "The jewellery, which included a gold Omega watch and a diamond ring, was of great sentimental value to the owner, and they are distraught someone has taken it. The watch and jewellery are very distinctive. Anyone who recognises the men shown in the picture, which people will have seen in the paper, or who has information, should contact the police. You can call Enfield Police on 101 or 0208 345 1212. And in this case, you should quote reference CHS 201 808 01 03 5732. Black History Month to focus on positivity. Women and young people will be at the forefront of events held to mark Black History Month in Enfield. The borough will host films, exhibitions and live music celebrating the history and culture of the black community throughout the month of October. Enfield is home to a large ethnic minority population, and around 1 in 5 people in the borough is from the black community. Councillor Nika Kizor, Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Cohesion, said, "We want to focus on highlighting all the positives that we have. Black, but also ethnic minority champions in our community history, past and present. This year we are doing something different. It is not entirely the council hosting the activities. There will be a focus on women. We are celebrating the Woman of the Year, and there will be a focus on black women as well. A series of films at the Dugdale Centre will mark the centenary of the first women being allowed to vote, highlighting the roles played by key figures in the fight for women's suffrage. The Year of the Woman season will also include films on prominent black women such as writer Maya Angelou, politician Winnie Mandela, and pop superstar Whitney Houston. Councillor Kizor added, "We have fantastic guest speakers who will also provide some mentoring for young people going into schools. The mentoring we want to provide is not just for Black History Month. We will have those in place and running for the year, so children will benefit. Councillor Keysor said it was important for young people to engage with what has happened in the past and see how their culture has come from all those areas of African and Caribbean countries. She said, what we are trying to do is to have events in place where young people will engage and attend. The Millfield Theatre, Trinity at Bowes Methodist Church and Centre, and Community House are among the other venues that will be hosting events. These will include a celebration of the music of Bob Marley, stand-up comedy from Mr. C, and an exhibition by local black artist Patrick Samuel. Councillor Keysor said the events could help to tackle crime in the black and minority ethnic community, as well as highlighting the positive achievements of young black people. She said, "We have a lot of young black children that do acting and do really well in schools. We are promoting some positives that you never really hear about."
Man sentenced for house party murder. A man has been sentenced to 21 years in prison for murder. Raumando Lewis, aged 28, of Cunningham Avenue in Enfield, was convicted at Snaresbrook Crown Court yesterday for killing 41-year-old Tyrone Silcott outside an address in Towpath Walk, Hackney, on March the 18th. Lewis and Mr. Silcott had been at a house party where Mr. Silcott had got into an argument with a woman over a microphone, and Lewis got involved. The arguments continued outside, where witnesses said Lewis and Mr. Silcott had pushed one another before Lewis produced a case from his waist containing the knife before stabbing Mr. Silcott in the neck and shoulder. Lewis then walked in the direction of a car park near Poplar Close. Police were called at around 8:15 a.m. and the London Ambulance Service and London Air Ambulance also attended. Mr. Silcott was pronounced dead at the scene. A post-mortem at Poplar Mortuary on March the 21st found Mr. Silcott had died due to blood loss from the neck wound. Lewis had fled the scene in a smart car which crashed into traffic lights at 8:20 a.m. on Ponsford Street in Hackney. Witnesses who helped him saw Lewis was covered in blood, not his own. He ran from the crash scene but was quickly identified as the suspect for the murder. Detectives from the Met's Homicide and Major Crime Command then tried to trace him. Lewis handed himself in on March the 20th. He was charged with murder the following day. Detective Inspector John Marriott of the Met's Homicide and Major Crime Command said, "It is hard to believe that a man has lost his life over such a trivial incident."
No deaths allowed as council postpones burials. Burials will be delayed for a whole week due to a changeover in contractors used by Enfield Council. The council announced in a tweet last week that burials will be unavailable for 7 days from the start of October due to contractual changes and health and safety precautions. It claims the restrictions to the normal service are necessary to ensure the switch is made quickly and safely. But Conservative group leader Councillor Joan branded the situation shockingly bad and blasted the council for failing to organise a seamless handover. She said, "It is shockingly bad to make people wait another 7 days to bury their relatives during what is a very distressing time. What does Enfield Council expect our hospitals to do as well? Postpone any deaths leading up to the beginning of October, so it fits in with a handover? If Enfield Council cannot manage a simple contract handover like this, it really is in chaos. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Gunay Dogan, said the council would look to accommodate the wishes of families unable to accept a delay. He said, "As the current contract ends and we change from one contractor to another, there will be a complex transition that involves the removal and changeover of equipment and vehicles and possibly other unavoidable interferences in the service, which will cause a degree of disruption. To facilitate this process, we will therefore be restricting the normal services available at the cemeteries so the switchover can be made quickly and safely. We are aware there are many reasons why families may not be prepared to accept a delay, and in these cases we are happy to be as flexible as possible so that families can grieve their loss at a time and a place of their choosing. Anyone who would like to proceed with a burial should contact our bereavement team so they can discuss their options. We are sorry for any inconvenience that has been caused. Enfield Council is committed to provide the best and most respectful level of service for its residents and for the long-term benefit of our communities." Floating parking bays are absolutely deadly. A council official was grilled on accident figures by members of the public who expressed ongoing safety fears over the Cycle Enfield scheme. Richard Eason, the council's programme director for Cycle Enfield, sought to reassure members of the public who claimed floating parking bays and cycle lane providers, dubbed orcas, had been causing accidents. At a meeting of Hazelbury Ward Forum last Wednesday, Mr. Eason was keen to stress that Cycle Enfield is a long-term project that will gradually change people's cycling and driving habits. Local man John Stanford, who said he was a cyclist for 40 years, described the floating parking bays set out into the road to accommodate the cycle lanes as absolutely deadly. He said, "Where do you get your figures from concerning accidents? I have been talking to people at Bush Hill Park and locally, and on your site you don't seem to be having accidents. I have seen 3 accidents concerning floating car parks, and they have all been people undertaking, thinking it's a queue of traffic or whatever, and they have hit the car right up the backside and smashed it. I have seen it once in Green Lanes, once in Hertford Road. When you ring up the council, they say, 'Oh no, it seems to be working quite nicely.'" Mr. Eason said, "We get the figures from the police. The police report to us those accidents they consider serious or where somebody has been injured. Over time, we will be able to monitor that data and compare before and afterwards, but we have to take a medium-term view on that. The issuing of floating parking bays has been raised before, with people living near the A1010 Hertford Road, claiming that they had led to a spate of smashes between Tramway Avenue and Causeway Wear Road. The council later published data showing that there have been 5 minor accidents along that stretch of the A1010 since the implementation of the Cycle Enfield scheme. An independent review blamed bad driving for the accidents, despite conceding that the bays would likely lead to more glancing blows from passing traffic. Mr. Eason said, "Floating bays are a new innovation. That is something we will continue to review. We are narrowing the carriageways, and we know from other schemes elsewhere that we will slow the speed of traffic. He claimed some of the problems could be due to drivers coming from a section of road with no cycle lanes to an area with a new layout. Once the whole scheme was finished, this would ease the problem, he said. Mr. Eason added that the council had removed orcas, which some pedestrians had been tripping over from certain areas, and avoided installing them in places of high footfall. Other members of the public raised questions about the scheme's effectiveness in cutting pollution, claiming it increased congestion as narrower carriageways led to cars waiting behind buses. Mr. Eason admitted change would not come overnight, but encouraged people to look at the long-term benefits for their children and grandchildren. People who need a wheelchair are ignored. A disabled grandmother was made to feel like a second-class citizen when she was forced to shop with a cardboard box. Sandra Johnston, age 64, from Claremont Street in Edmonton, likes to shop at her nearby Lidl in Stirling Way. She suffers from a chronic lung disease, asthma, and fluid in her spine, forcing her to use an electric wheelchair. When Ms. Johnston shops, she places a small basket on her lap. However, 2 months ago, Lidl replaced baskets with larger wheeled ones to drag along the floor. Miss Johnston cannot use those baskets easily. She said, "When I asked for a basket to use that I could put on my lap, I felt as though I was just being shrugged off. They gave me a cardboard box to use, and I felt like an afterthought." People who need a chair like me are being ignored, and our needs are not being taken into account. Miss Johnston was left wanting to cry after being given a box every time she has gone to Lidl. Her husband also suffers from respiratory problems and needs a constant feed of oxygen. This has left him in a wheelchair, unable to help her. This leaves her 34-year-old daughter as her primary carer, who helps her mother to shop whilst pushing her 1-year-old child in a pram. Miss Johnston added, "I felt like a second-class citizen, and it's not right. I should be able to shop on my own, but they are making it difficult. I have the same rights as anyone else at the end of the day. I'm left wanting to cry because no one wants to know or help." A Lidl spokesman said, "It is always our aim to ensure that our customers enjoy the best possible experience when shopping with us. We are sincerely sorry to hear that this was not the case on this occasion. We can confirm that the store team have made arrangements for a smaller basket to be ordered to the store, which will be kept aside for the customer to use."
And now some more news. Councillor suspended for racist comments. The Conservative Party has suspended a councillor who was accused of making racist comments at an Enfield Council meeting last week. Councillor William Coleshill, who represents the Bush Hill Park ward, has had his Conservative Party membership and the whip suspended pending an investigation into the incident. The disciplinary action was taken within 24 hours of the council meeting, which was held on Thursday evening. Councillor Coleshill's comments, which were directed at Labour councillor Susan Erbil, caused uproar in the council chamber. Responding to a motion opposing education funding cuts put forward by Councillor Ebrel, Councillor Coleshill blamed mass migration for putting pressure on UK schools. He then said, "When the Erbil family entered this country, did they bring a classroom with them?" The comments were met with cries of "racist," "shame," and "resign," and several councillors, including council leader Councillor Nezil Kaliskan, called for the councillor to be suspended. Mayor of Enfield, Saray Karakus, called a 10-minute break in proceedings, and Councillor Coleshill was not present when the meeting re-adjourned.
Tributes to lovely gentleman Chas. Chas and Dave singer Chas Hodges has died at the age of 74. The singer died in his sleep in the early hours of Saturday morning from organ failure. A tweet from the musical duo's official Twitter account said. The statement read, "It is with tremendous sadness that we announce the passing of our very own Chas Hodges. Despite receiving successful treatment for esophageal cancer recently, Chas suffered organ failure and passed away peacefully in his sleep in the early hours of this morning." Hodges revealed early in 2017 that he had been diagnosed with cancer of the esophagus after he struggled to swallow a glass of water, and he underwent chemotherapy. He returned to performing last year, but in August, Chas and Dave were forced to cancel all of their forthcoming gigs on doctors' advice. At the time, Hodges said in a statement that recent checkups have seen no sign of cancer, but the treatment has left me well below par. A message on the group's website added, "We would like to thank our fans for their fantastic support and goodwill at this difficult time." Hodges and Dave Peacock rose to fame in the English pop-rock duo known for their rock and country style in the 1970s. They had a string of hits, including Rabbit, Snooker Loopy, and Ain't No Pleasing You. Before teaming up with Peacock for a musical partnership lasting more than 40 years, Hodges was a member of the Outlaws. During the late 1950s and early 1960s, he backed some of the all-time greats, including Jerry Lee Lewis, Gene Vincent, and Bill Haley. As a member of Cliff Bennett and the Rebel Rousers, he also appeared as a special guest alongside the Beatles on their final British tour in 1966. Radio DJ and TV presenter Ian Lee tweeted, "Absolutely gutted about Chas Hodges' passing. Was always a real gentleman to me and very generous with his time. Absolutely one of the best. Played piano at Eric Clapton's wedding. The other members of the Spontaneous Band, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr and George Harrison." Radio DJ Joe Wiley tweeted, "Oh no, this is the saddest news. Chas was a lovely gentleman, and our Maida Vale Xmas show was one of my absolute favourite shows. Much love to his family and close friends, and Dave." Neighbours' anger at parking restrictions. People who shelled out thousands of pounds for an extra parking space have hit out at the council over the rollout of parking restrictions. Residents living in the controlled parking zone being introduced in roads near Tottenham Hotspur Stadium said they could be forced to park miles away from their homes on match days because the council has painted yellow lines in front of their drives. At a meeting of Hazelbury Ward Forum last Wednesday, September the 19th, they complained they had paid £2,500 for dropped curbs in front of their drives to free up space so visitors and other family members could park on the clogged up streets. but they were not told that the rollout of the controlled parking zone would stop them from using the extra space on days when Tottenham Hotspur play at their home ground. Sally Mustafa, who lives on Dermont Avenue, said, "Our issue is people paid £2,500 for the driveway. They, the council, have gone round and put yellow lines across the driveway. We want the yellow lines removed. We don't mind the white boxes staying. It's not fair to have yellow lines when you have paid £2,500 for a driveway. Now I will not be able to park on a match day." Mr. Mustafa added that the majority of people living on Dermont Avenue, Pentire Avenue and Weir Hall Gardens signed a petition against the yellow lines, but the council put them in anyway. David Taylor, head of traffic and transportation at Enfield Council, said, "One of the disadvantages of a CPZ, that's the controlled zone, is you have to have either bays marked where you can park or yellow lines where you can't. You can't really change that. Some good news is we are not saying we got that scheme right on the first go. What we want to do, as soon as the station opens and we have some experience operating it, we are committed to reviewing it. That could mean we come back in and change the boundaries and make further changes. But Mr. Taylor added there could be a problem enforcing parking restrictions if someone else were to park in front of the curb and there were no yellow lines. He said, essentially the choice could be stay in the zone and keep the yellow lines or come out of it. The CPZ is designed to protect residents parking on match days and encourage football fans to use public transport instead of driving to the stadium. Mr. Taylor assured people that their 3-year permits would be valid from the opening of the stadium. Londoners must never have to face a repeat of the train timetable chaos. A government review into rail services has been welcomed in the hope that commuters do not face chaos and widespread disruption again. The announcement follows the continued disruptions and cancellations on Govia Thameslink Railway, GTR, and Northern Railway services since May 20th, when the rail industry attempted the biggest timetable change for years. An interim timetable was then introduced on June the 4th, followed by the introduction of a third timetable in July. The Thameslink line serves commuters in St Albans, Harpenden, Radlett, Boreham Wood and parts of Barnet. The Great Northern Line serves commuters in Enfield and parts of Haringey. Labour London Assembly spokesman for Transport, Florence Eshalomi, said, "Londoners must never again have to face a repeat of the recent timetable chaos which brought widespread disruption to so many people's lives. It is absolutely unjustifiable that beleaguered commuters have been subjected to seemingly endless delays and cancellations despite paying exorbitant fares." Ms. Eshalomi also called for more of London's rail services to be devolved to Transport for London and said it was something the government review should take seriously and consider. The announcement of the review came in the wake of a report published by the Office of Rail and Road, ORR, which came out just yesterday over the delays. ORR revealed that a lack of responsibility and accountability was largely to blame for the collapse of the services in May. over a period of several weeks, GTR and Northern cancelled up to 470 and 370 scheduled trains, respectively, each weekday. The inquiry found that neither Northern Rail nor GTR were prepared for the disruption. Neither did they do enough to provide accurate information to passengers. Chairman of the London Assembly Transport Committee, Caroline Pigeon, said the results of the survey came as no surprise to anyone. She added, "It is simply unfair to ask Londoners to fork out more and more money each year for services that frequently just aren't good enough." The Transport Secretary, the Department for Transport, National Rail and Govia Thameslink all have a lot to answer for, and there's a long way to go to fully compensate Londoners for the time and money they have lost being caught up in this process.
Find your dream job at Fair. Kickstart your dream career at the Enfield Jobs, Apprenticeships and Training Fair this Friday at the Southbury Leisure Centre. The fair, which is organised by Enfield Council, will give those looking for employment opportunities the chance to meet companies from a range of sectors, including construction, hospitality, education, logistics, manufacturing, not-for-profit, healthcare and retail. 70 organisations will have stands at the event, including North Middlesex University Hospital, Stansted Airport Academy, Tottenham Hotspur Foundation, Warburton's, Countryside Properties, Go Construct, North London Chamber of Commerce, Capel Manor College, and many more. Admission is free and there is no need to book in advance. The event is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Southbury Leisure Centre. That's at 192 Southbury Road, Enfield, EN1 1YP. And for more information, you can visit www.enfield.gov.uk/job fair.
Take 5 campaign to help stop cold calling fraud. A cold calling fraudster can sound very convincing, but there may be some warning signs that could help you spot that someone is about to attempt to steal your cash. To avoid falling victim to a scam, people are being urged to follow the advice of the Take 5 to Stop Fraud campaign, which is backed by major banks and financial services providers. Previous research by Take 5 delved into the techniques financial fraudsters commonly use to trick people into handing over financial or personal information over the phone, often when they are posing as someone in authority, such as a fraud detection manager. It found that while many people are likely to trust a stranger if they sound like a nice person, in fact, a caller acknowledging someone's concerns and sounding apologetic can be the hallmark of a scam. Looking at evidence from real-life scam phone calls, it found fraudsters will use snippets of information about their targets to sound like they know what they are talking about. Alarm bells should also start ringing if the caller suddenly switches tempo and starts piling on the pressure, perhaps by creating a false sense of urgency and making their victim think they need to act quickly. If you start to have doubts or something does not feel right, put the phone down. There are also some common scams to watch out for. These include purchase scams, where victims pay up front for goods, often after seeing them on auction websites or social media, that are never received. Criminals also advertise fake holidays and concert tickets. A warning sign could be if you are asked to pay by direct bank transfer instead of a website's secure payment options. People may also be persuaded to part with their cash after being convinced this will result in the release of a much larger payment back to them. They are all scams. Would you believe it? A new wood containing up to 5,000 new trees is to be planted at Montague Recreation Ground. The initiative is being funded by the Mayor of London's £1.5 million Woodland Fund, which aims to turn London into a national park city. Urban trees play a vital role in storing carbon, helping to improve air quality and creating habitats for wildlife. Enfield has in excess of 100,000 trees across the borough, both on streets and in its numerous parks and open spaces. Residents will be invited to roll up their sleeves and get involved in large tree planting events to create the new urban woodlands at the Montague Recreation Ground as part of the National Park City volunteer mass tree planting event on the 1st and 2nd of December. And we'd like lots of people to participate, the organisers say. So if you are interested, please email Loretta Hoy, H-O-Y, on Loretta, L-O-R-E-T-T-A Hoy, H-O-Y, at enfield.gov.uk, and you'll get all the details.
Yep.
Asperger artist reflects on his work and his life ahead. Less than 2 years ago, a man from Enfield with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, tried to take his own life. At this time, he was yet to be diagnosed, and when the writer Matty Lacey Davidson spoke to him in 2017, he was still awaiting that diagnosis. But thanks to intervention from his MP at the time, David Burrows, a combination of diagnosis, cognitive behavioural therapy, counselling, medication and treatment started to move forward. The main component that has enabled Patrick Samuel, who calls himself the Asperger artist, to overcome his struggles was art. And last autumn he held his first solo exhibition. He has since been diagnosed by the NHS and has begun to receive more support. But in the time he has waited, he has made exceptional achievements, from exhibiting his work several times, public speaking, and having art therapy and ASD and evening working in schools. Now he's having his 6th solo exhibition, and the launch of it is called Passing Time, Moments in Broomfield, is at the Dugdale Centre on October the 2nd at 6 p.m. Together with the new artwork on display, they'll also be premiering a short film about how the exhibition was put together and music that he's been composing to coincide with the event. Anyone who would like to come by and meet him are welcome to do so. The exhibition will be open, as I said, from October the 2nd until October the 27th.
And some What's On news. This is Black Barn lineup. Music from the Black Barn, 40 Hall's firmly established monthly gig taking place every second Saturday. Stages a rare extra show this weekend with the second helping of September Rock, featuring a double header of The Vipers and Shot in the Dark. Shot in the Dark are described as a good time rock band from the 80s and 90s, are back in the saddle again. They will be followed by The Vipers, one of the West End's premier cover bands, with residencies at several of their most popular live venues under their belt. Their high-octane performances see them playing well-known songs by a variety of bands, from the Beatles and the Kinks to the Foo Fighters and Green Day, for almost a decade. The four-piece pride themselves on delivering an exciting, professional live show that draws on each individual member's years of experience and passion for music. Usually headlining in Covent Garden and Soho, they are now bringing their rock and roll vibes to the Black Barn. And tickets for Saturday's show are available on the door or in advance, with music getting underway at 7:30 p.m. and licensed bar provided by Phoenix Bells. And now I have a letter. This is from Carolyn Freeman of Bush Hill Park in Enfield, and it's a thank you to NHS staff. And Carolyn writes as follows. I am writing following day surgery on the 9th of September 2018 at North Middlesex Hospital. Not a complaint, thank you. Once we found the actual day surgery unit, apparently differently sited at the weekends, the whole day went very well. All the staff, porters, nurses, doctors, anaesthetist and surgeon were very professional and caring, all very reassuring. It is recommended you have a responsible adult with you for 24 hours following discharge. I have been very blessed with a friend staying for 4 days, also much support from family and friends. They have all been wonderful. My concern is really for the folk who live alone and who, after 24 hours, are again all alone. It is too early. If you are a relative, friend, or neighbour of someone discharged from day surgery, please do give all the support you can. It all makes such a difference. We have an amazing NHS who are incredibly busy. The turnover of patients now is so huge, so it is a privilege to write and thank all the staff of the NHS in this, the 70th anniversary. God bless each and every one.
Now here are some dates for your diary regarding Enfield Council meetings. There are many meetings that take place in Enfield Council that you are encouraged to attend. All meetings take place at the Civic Centre, Silver Street, Enfield, at 7:30 p.m, unless otherwise informed. The dates and times of meetings may change, so please check the Council's website beforehand if you wish to attend a meeting. The agenda can also be viewed on the website, and the website address is simple. It's www.enfield.gov.uk. Now, 2 upcoming ward forums might be of interest to you. Grange Ward Forum will be on Tuesday the 3rd of October at the Dugdale Centre, Thomas Hardy House, Enfield, and I imagine that's at 7:30 p.m. as it doesn't state otherwise, but you may have to check the website for that. And Enfield Lock Ward Forum. That one is on Tuesday the 16th of October at 8 p.m, repeat 8 p.m, and that's held at the Ordnance Unity Centre, Hertford Road, Enfield. And then finally, welcome to your new Chase Farm Hospital. The newly built Chase Farm Hospital is now open and delivering an even better experience for patients. including state-of-the-art urgent care centre for minor illnesses and injuries. Innovative technologies such as self-check-in kiosks and clinical staff having mobile devices to access patient information at the touch of a button means the new hospital is one of the most digitally advanced in the NHS. The hospital provides a range of outpatient services and diagnostic tests, including imaging. Chase Farm Hospital is now the location for most of the Royal Free London's planned surgery, such as hip and knee replacements. Plus, our Older Persons Assessment Unit treats patients aged 65 and over referred by their GP. So try not to have to go along to Chase Farm, but if you do, we hope it's a great experience. If you want more information, including opening times, visit www.royalfree.nhs.uk/chase-farm-hospital. Well, we've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you very much for listening. So, from Dem and myself, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the memory stick into the packet in a closed position and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with the Enfield Talking newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.